What's up, guys? It's Ben with 2020 election predictions, and today I'm going to be doing an updated presidential election predictions. I did an election night a few days ago, but today I'm going to get into margins and go into a little bit more of specifics of where I think the race stands. And I'm going to look at some polls. I'm going to look at some other projections from other media companies and look at fundraising numbers and look at everything. So let's just dive right in. And before I get into the states, I just want to remind you all to please subscribe right here and click the bell notification so whenever I do a new video, you are notified. I'm on the road to 1,000. Once I get to 1,000, I'm going to be doing a big giveaway and share some of the money that I'm going to get when I become monetized. So please, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that right now. Cool. All right. So just looking at this map right now, I think right now it's at 163 to 219. If we look at some of these states that are not the safe reds or the safe blues, we have Colorado, New Mexico, and Virginia. And under 12 points is how I have for the likely. From 5 to 12 points is the likely state. So I do think that Joe Biden will be able to improve on Hillary Clinton's performance in 2016. But I do not think that Joe Biden will win these states by double digits. Virginia and New Mexico might be close just because they've been trending blue for a while. But I do think that Donald Trump will be able to hold these states within single digits. Moving on to Maine and Nevada, I do think Nevada is a little bit behind some of these other states in terms of trending blue. And some recent polls have demonstrated that Joe Biden is not polling as well among Latino voters as Hillary Clinton did in 2016. And I actually think it's pretty interesting. I think with all the emphasis on the Black Lives Matter movement, maybe some Latino voices have felt like they're not being heard. And it is true that, like, for example, under the Obama-Biden administration, more illegal immigrants were deported. So while Donald Trump has been a lot of talk about securing the border, he actually has deported less immigrants in the first 3 years of his presidency than Obama did. And so we will definitely see about that going forward. I do think that Montana right now is a likely Republican state. It has demonstrated that it can go both ways. And I would also classify Alaska too. I think they're kind of some of these Midwestern states that could kind of go on some Democratic streaks here and there. And I definitely think having a competitive governor's race and Senate race will move this state more towards the likely column. Texas, I have it as a likely Republican state as well. While some people might classify this as only a lean Republican state, I do think that Donald Trump will be able to win the state by more than 5 points. He won the state by 9 points in 2016, and I expect him to win the state by between 5 and 6 points in 2020. All right, so moving right in, let's go to the lean Republican states. The first state I'm going to classify is the state of Iowa. Consistently, polls have shown Donald Trump winning the state. I think there was one poll that had it as a tied margin within the margin of error, but Donald Trump won the state by a pretty significant margin in 2016 versus Hillary Clinton, and I don't think Joni Ernst will do as well as Donald Trump, so she might drag Donald Trump down a little bit, but I still expect Donald Trump to win this state. A lot of pollsters and models have this as a pure toss up. This JHK forecast actually, I think, has Joe Biden slightly ahead, but I think it's surprising in the fact that Joe Biden is doing the best he's ever had. I think come election day, Donald Trump will win this state between 2 and 5 points. Same with the state of Ohio. I do think Donald Trump's margin of victory will not be as high as in 2016, because if it were, it would be a likely state, not a lean state. So I've downgraded Iowa and Ohio from likely Republican states to a lean Republican states. However, I still think that both of them will win the state, or both these states will go to Donald Trump. Next up is the state of Georgia. I would still classify this as a lean Republican state on the presidential level. On the Senate level, I do think it could possibly go as a tilt Republican state. But on the presidential level, even though there's been all this energy with the Black Lives Matter protests, and there's a big Black population in the state of Georgia, I still think there could be actually some backlash, like against some of the riots in Atlanta. I think Donald Trump could play the law and order card and still be able to hold on to Georgia, even though it is trending to the left. So now going to the lean Democratic states, I've classified Maine and Nevada as both lean Democratic states, but I don't know why I did this before, just for the sake of speeding this video up. But first up, we're going to move to Minnesota. I think Minnesota could be a likely Democratic state. Right now, I'm going to classify it as a lean Democratic state because I haven't seen a ton of polling here. Donald Trump lost the state by 1.5 points in 2016, so it would only be a tilt Democratic state if we were doing it in terms. I have the tilt classification between 0 and 2, lean between 2 and 5, likely between 5 and 12, and safe 12 plus. So I think that Joe Biden will probably win the state between like 3 and 5 points right now, but I want to see some more polling out from it because Minnesota has been one of these states that's actually been trending to the right. I do think that Joe Biden will probably be a stronger candidate in the Rust Belt overall and probably in the state of Minnesota. I don't think Donald Trump will be able to flip Minnesota, but I think definitely both campaigns are going to be putting resources into the state just after the 2016 results. So next up, moving on to Michigan, I do think Michigan will be a lean Democratic state. I do think that Joe Biden will win the state between 2 and 5 points, probably closer to 5. Joe Biden has the potential to win the state by more than 5 points. I don't think that's likely. I think he'll probably win it between 3 and 5 points because Donald Trump won this state in 2016, but I think this is the state that Donald Trump is the most vulnerable in terms of his reelection chances. He can still win the election without the state of Michigan, and it's the least favorable state out of the rest of what has the highest Black population. Like you have the urban areas of Flint and Detroit. I think they'll be energized a lot with the Black Lives Matter movements. So next up, moving on to New Hampshire, I do think New Hampshire will be a lean Democratic state. It was the closest state in terms of raw votes in 2016. However, I don't think Donald Trump will be able to replicate this. There've been I think there was a poll that has approval as minus 25. His approval obviously isn't that low, but we could see it get that low eventually. And I didn't do this here, but the 2nd district of Maine, I still have as tilting to the Republicans overall. And this district is going to be a safe for Joe Biden. So it's pretty interesting. And before I get into the tilt states, I just want to remind you all, please subscribe here if you haven't. It's actually gone up one time in this video, so please, please, please subscribe. All right, so next up we're going to the tilt states, starting off with the tilt Republican states. I think North Carolina will tilt towards the Republicans, although right now the polls have it as going to Joe Biden. I think come election day, these are going to shift. In fact, they have Georgia. All these states is maybe even leaning towards Joe Biden, which I disagree with when it comes to election day. Maybe right now Joe Biden has some more strength, but I do think come election day, Donald Trump will be able to win the state of North Carolina. He won it by 3.5 points in 2016, and although it's going to be closer in 2020, I do think Donald Trump will be able to pull it off. All right, next up, moving to Florida. I think at this point, Florida is a tilt Democratic state. The polls have Joe Biden up there by a lot right now, but frankly, I don't trust these polls entirely. They were off in 2018. The polls had Ron DeSantis down by like 3.5 points, and he ended up winning. The polls right now have Joe Biden up by like 7 or 8 points. I do think Joe Biden will win this state, but by a smaller margin. Donald Trump is losing support among older voters, and it's really hurting him right now. Come election day, I think it's going to be closer. I think Donald Trump can contrast himself more against Joe Biden. I think right now all the attention is on Donald Trump and his response to coronavirus and the Black Lives Matter protests, and it is not helping him politically. But Florida will definitely be a huge state. If Donald Trump loses Florida, the election is over. Right now, you can see we haven't even counted 3 states, and Joe Biden is the victor in the Electoral College. Right now, I think Maine could go between being a lean Republican state or a tilt Republican state. In fact, right now, I might have it as a lean Democratic state or tilt Democratic state, just because of Joe Biden's strength right now. I think come election day, it could be more of a tilt. We will see. Right now, I'm actually going to leave it as a lean Democratic state. Wisconsin still, I have this as a tilt Democratic state. I think it could very easily go to the Republicans. I do think that statewide, it is a more of a stronghold for the Republicans. It has the highest white population out of these 4 states. Obviously not compared to Ohio and Iowa. They have a higher white population, which is why they're probably more Republican. And then Arizona right now, although there is data that Joe Biden is actually hemorrhaging support among Latinas, I still classify this as a lean Democratic state. So right now, here you have it. And also have this is more of a suburban district that I think Joe Biden could be able to pick up. So right now you have it 219, 319 for 319 for Joe Biden and 219 for Donald Trump. Joe Biden in this scenario would win the Electoral College by 100 votes. I know a lot of y'all in the comment section will not like this. You'll disagree with me. And I do think that there's a lot of time for Donald Trump to turn this around. All he has to do is flip these 3 states, and he's won the Electoral College. So it's going to be a very, very close election, and I think a lot of people might just see this map and be like, oh, it's over for Donald Trump. I've seen this a lot of headlines. It's not. We should not underestimate Donald Trump and his ability to come back from big margins. He did it in 2016, and he could do it again. So thank you all for watching my video. Please subscribe here if you haven't already, and I'll see you.